Gentlemen, what's going on? 1247, the great one. It's a great day to be great, man. Y'all check out the merch, man. Y'all check out the merch. You know what I'm saying? 1247. Prodigal son, man. It's time to return back to Mother's nature. Yeah. Anyways, gentlemen, it's a great day to be great. Get your mind off the behind. Talk to myself too, man. But check this out, gentlemen. Something just came to my mind just watching the replay with shout out to my man brother Sanchez, and he was talking about brother Umar Johnson out here, so-called dick police, right? Brother Umar Johnson out here dick police, basically telling you brothers that you need to stick with the black woman and rebuild and the black family, blase blase, bling bling blah, a bunch of lies, bunch of nonsense. And the reason why I say it's a lie, because Umar Johnson mentioned, I mentioned to you this before in a couple blogs earlier, that in 1967, Cushing versus Virginia, you guys need to look this up. This is why the so-called black community doesn't talk about history. See, in history in 1967, Cushing was a sister, black woman, American black woman. You know, back in those days, you know, white and black, so-called white and black people couldn't marry each other, right? So the black people and white people couldn't commingle. They couldn't marry. It was illegal back in those days. But the sister Cushing, I forget her first name. But in 1967, she goes to the Supreme Court to have those laws changed, and she did. Right? Everybody, oh yeah. See all your women in your community was clapping. See, women in your community was clapping. Yeah, girl, we could be with the white man now. See, but with that rule being changed, let me tell you something, fellas, right now. With that rule being changed in 1967, that puts you as a so-called African American man in the okay. With that rule being changed, that puts you men. Doesn't matter what honest you whatever you label yourself as African American. Doesn't matter from the richest to the poorest. You were always the backup plan. Ever since that ruling, since 1967, all of us has been placed as the permanent backup plan to these women. You were placed as a permanent backup plan to these women due to the Cushing versus Virginia law change. You were placed as a permanent backup plan. You've been the backup plan for these women for the last half a century. Talking about 67, so you talking about what, 54 years ago? So half a century, you've been the permanent backup plan for these women in your community. See, but this is what nobody's not telling you. See, the thing is, these women thought that her going to Supreme Court with her white man was actually was a slap in your father's face, in your grandfather's face, in your great grandfather, and the great grace, those generations came before us. That female walking hand in hand with her white man was a slap to your father, grandfather, great grandfather, all these men that came before you and I. That's a slap in their face. But see, these women were so disrespectful of your so-called grandfather, us, the man that came before us, that she went boldly to the Supreme Court, hand in hand with her white man. She went boldly. And what your grandfather and them do? Oh, the year later, oh, fighting for civil rights. Well, how you gonna fight for civil rights when your so-called woman the year prior went hand in hand with her white man to have laws changed so she could be with her white man? But then a year later, we're gonna fight for civil rights. How does that work? 67, she got her permission to be with her white man, but then a year later, in 68, we're gonna fight for civil rights? That doesn't make sense. Your woman just got her walking papers to be with her white man. And somehow you brothers are gonna fight for the civil rights? How is that gonna work, gentlemen? How is that going to work? She went boldly to the Supreme Court for to be with her white man. Got laws changed. I mean, come on, gentlemen. You went to Supreme Court. The American black woman went to Supreme Court to have laws changed so she could be with the white man. Why doesn't anybody discuss this in the so-called black American black community? Why doesn't your grandfathers? Why doesn't these older people talk about these things? See, they talking about history, and if you don't know history and you're going to make the same mistakes, blah blah blah. You absolutely right. If you fellas out here, if you don't research history, because nobody's telling your history in the black community, nobody's telling your history. You don't even know your own history. Your family not telling you your family history. Why is that? Because if your people's telling you what the history is, you threw the deuces a long time ago. But yeah, gentlemen, ever since 1967, you've been in a permanent backup position for the American black woman. Listen, your so-called black community was disbanded in 1967. After 1967, there is no black community. There is no black community. Man and woman being together, no, that's a wrap. In 67, remember, that was disbanded in 67, fellas. 1967, that was disbanded. So your community and all this thriving stuff and the Motowns and all the stuff they were building and all these different inventions and all that stuff, gentlemen, that woman killed it. Sister Cushing went up to the Supreme Court hand in hand with her white man. Then a year later, your fathers and them gonna fight for the civil rights of who? Come on, gentlemen. Gentlemen, they keep telling us no history. Well, that's history, gentlemen. You've been put in a permanent backup position since 1967. See, nobody's going to tell you this. Oh, you got to marry that good girl and you need to father them kids. Hell no. Gentlemen, that's what your daddy and them sit up there, they pussy whipped. The female sat there and walked hand in hand with her so-called white man in front of your daddy, your grandfather, your great grandfather, all them great men. Walked to the Supreme Court hand in hand with a white man. And you wonder why these women don't respect you? Fellas, you wonder why these women don't respect you? Because of 1967. Once again, what was the repercussion and the reprimand for this woman walking all the way to the Supreme Court hand in hand with her white man? What was the repercussions from the so-called these brothers, these men that came before us? What was her punishment? There was no punishment. So these women think that us, especially the so-called millennials, are supposed to act just like the men who came before us. So the men before us, I mean, these women got away with literal murder. There was no consequences. There was no repercussion. There was no ostracizing. There was no shame. There was no guilt. No nothing. This woman walking around hand in hand with her white man, and nothing happened. And you wonder why these women don't respect you? Not blaming the men before us, but nothing happened to Miss Cushing in 1967. Nothing happened. But then a year later, we're gonna fight for civil rights? Like, bro, what were these men thinking back in the day? But then going back to what I was saying before about the Umar Johnson and talking to these two other brothers on I think it was on Fox Soul, whatever it was, about the rise in interracial relationships. That Umar Johnson has a big problem with brothers, you brothers out here being with Becky and them. Well, according to 1967, that law being changed gave us the green light to be with whoever we want to be. See, the thing is, see, the thing is, see, these women thought their vagina was like God to the older men, that us younger ones was gonna follow right in line with what they did. See, the older men worship the vagina of the so-called American black woman, and us, the us, especially the millennials on down, are supposed to do the same. See, we're supposed to be worshiping the vagina of the black woman. So we're not supposed to be looking at Becky. We're supposed to be waiting for Bonquisha to get ran through. And when she finished getting ran through, we're supposed to be the permanent backup guy and just wait for her to get done and doing what she's doing. Because this is what these women think you're supposed to do. And this is how they're acting. This is why these women don't come around to they 30 something, they mid 30s and they 40s and they 50, talking about coming back to you so-called average guys and I'm ready to get married now. No, gentlemen, she's taking it right back to what her grandmama and all them great females that came before her. For the last 50 years, these women have taught their daughters that you just a bitch ass nigga. Oh, girl, he just a bitch ass nigga. He gonna worship your vagina. He just gonna worship your vagina. Girl, it don't matter, man. I can sleep with Rod right in front of his face. He ain't gonna do nothing. So ever since 1967, you just been a bitch to these women. You serve her. She don't serve you. Talk about submission. This is why they acting crazy. I don't believe you said I got to submit. Because why? Because of 1967. What's the song by Biggie? 1970 something? It's a remix that 1960 something. 1960 something. You been a bitch since 1960 something. You've been in a permanent backup role since 1967. But your grandfather and them ain't gonna tell you this. They gonna sit there, hey son, you need to settle down with Keisha and her 4 kids. Shut your ass up. This conversation we having in 2021 should have happened 50 some odd years ago. That female was that bold to walk in front of to the Supreme Court to be with her white man. It should have been done. So cool, you go out there with your white man, because then listen, because in 1967 she got the paperwork, she got a permission slip to leave you and I, your grandfather, your great grandfather. She got her permission slip. She got books, she got laws changed so she could be with her white man on books. So if she was the Supreme Court, then gentlemen, these women have been wanting to separate from your grandfather and your great-greats for a long time. Come on, you just don't go to Supreme Court all of a sudden. There's one thing to go to your local court and your little civil court and your little court in your little district and your court in your little town, but this woman went to the highest court in the United States of America to have laws changed. Gentlemen, you know how big that is? She went to the highest court in the United States of America to have laws changed to be with her white man. I'm not mad, but we're not obligated. We haven't been obligated to the black woman since 1967. That obligation to build and the kids and all this stuff, gentlemen, all that nonsense they spitting was nullified in 1967. This is what nobody's not telling you. Your obligation to that so-called American black woman was nullified in 1967. Because she got listen, in 1968, what happened? She got all her government assistance, and she joined the feminist movement, and Margaret Sanger. Now she can start aborting babies. Once again, she got the whole package. She got the entire package, gentlemen. She got the permission slip. Then she got the government backing. Then she got Margaret Sanger and them. Then she joined the feminist movement. Now she could think on her own and be her own person. Gentlemen, she got the entire package deal. She got the entire package deal. And we sitting around waiting for what? What we waiting for? Keisha, please come on back. Please, Keisha. Hell no. You women got the complete package deal back in 1967. You got the permission slip. You got laws changed so you can be with your white man. Then you got government assistance. Then you got Margaret Sanger that came around and said, you know what? If you don't want that baby, you can start aborting babies. Then the so-called white woman came along and said, listen, girl, we're the feminist movement. You women got the whole package deal 50 some odd years ago. And you gentlemen are waiting around for what again? What are we waiting around for? We are waiting around for Shaquita to do what? I don't understand. What we waiting around for? Because once again, it goes back to me and you, gentlemen. What we waiting around for? But but the thing is about the law is to see the law that was changed was not just for the women, it was for all black, so-called American black people, man and woman. So I don't understand why Umar Johnson is getting mad that brothers are exercising the law. If the law says you can be with a white woman since 1967, then this is what brothers are going to do. See, now it's legal to be with a white woman. So I don't understand why Umar Johnson has an issue with you all of a sudden being with Becky, with you being with Maria, with you being with God knows whoever you want to be with. Listen, thanks to Sister Cushing, who thought that her vagina was on a pedestal, that you men were going to worship her vagina forever and ever and ever, and she's going to pass that teachings down from generation to generation that these so-called black men were always going to worship your vagina, because this is what they've been teaching generation after generation. Oh, girl, don't matter, man. You can spit in his face and he's still gonna worship. He's still gonna kiss your toes. See, these women thought that them changing the law was still gonna have. Let me back up. These women thought that her breaking away from you was gonna keep you chasing after her. And this is what these women have taught generation after generation. It doesn't matter what you do, girl. You can go out here and get all your degrees. You can get all types of ran through. And at the end of the day, this bitch ass nigga is still going to be sitting here waiting on you. This is what's being said, gentlemen. See, this is what nobody's telling you in your so-called black community. This is what they're not telling you. You're the permanent backup guy ever since 1967. 1960 something. Gentlemen, this is what these women have thought about you since 1960 something. You're just a permanent backup man. Since your father and them didn't do nothing in 1967, we're just going to keep, we're going to teach our daughters, we're going to teach our granddaughters, our great-great-granddaughters, that the so-called American black man is just a permanent backup man. It doesn't matter if he makes $2.5 billion or $2.50. He's your backup plan forever and ever and ever. That's what nobody's not telling you, gentlemen. We shall all right. Get that stuff out of here. We shall over nothing. We shall be with Becky right now. But all of a sudden, there's a rise in interracial relationships. See, but once again, the interracial relationship doesn't have to do with the so-called American black woman being with the so-called white man. That's not what everybody's all up in arms about. That's not the problem. See, the problem is you brothers out here are exercising your options, and now you're dealing with other groups of women, and you leaving her alone. But sisters, if you had the laws changed, then the law goes on both sides. It doesn't go on one side. I mean, I get it. You thought your vagina was God. The black woman is God. The black woman is God. Yeah, for them old niggas. For the young ones, now we're not banging with that. The black woman is God. The black woman is God. The black woman is God. All that foolishness. Get that stuff out of here. Black woman is God. All that dumb stuff. Ain't nobody listen to that stuff no more. But all of a sudden, now you're down the millennials. The millennials are now falling in line. Millennials are shaking it up. Millennials out here with these white guys and these Chinese guys and the Russians. Hell, you fellas can't even be. Listen. It's gotten so bad. You gentlemen. I see brothers all the time going to East Africa and to Ethiopia and Sudan. I just seen one brother got married to a sister out in Egypt. But you can't even be with them. Listen, you talk about Pan-African, this, that, and the third. Listen, you can't even be with Meski from Ethiopia. They don't like that either. But see, the Ethiopians consider themselves to be, well, not all of them, but I mean, a lot of them consider themselves to be black. So once again, if the Ethiopian woman is so-called black, why can't you marry an Ethiopian? But you can't do that either. Okay, can I marry Zumuni from, okay, what about the mixed sister from South Africa? You can't do that either. You can't do that either? Okay, what about the sisters from, okay, Eritrea? You can't do that. Sudan? You can't do that. Okay, Morocco, yes, Morocco. I know them sisters, they're on the lighter side, but once again, they're from Africa. What's the problem with the sister from Morocco? You can't do that. Can't do that either? Okay. The sister from Algeria. That's Africa, right? I know she's on the lighter side of things. That's fine. But she's African. Is that okay? No, you can't do that. So, gentlemen. So if I'm not with American black women, I'm wrong? Like, I don't understand. But see, this is the things that they're not telling you. Just see, they're not gonna tell you straight up, gentlemen. But this is the underlying message that they're saying. You gentlemen were always, since 1967, you were the permanent backup plan. Since 1967, you were the permanent backup plan. You were always the backup guy. It doesn't matter if, I'm gonna say it again, it doesn't matter if you had $2.5 billion or $2.50. All that you accumulate belongs to the so-called American black woman. And this is what has been taught for the last 50 some odd years. You are the permanent backup plan, but nobody's telling you this. But then you sitting up there listening to your uncles and your grandfather and your father and them. Oh, sorry. Okay. But nobody talks about 1967, though. Nobody speaks about 1967. Sergeant Dirty Bear will kiss her, not her kid. Fuck out of here. But now all of a sudden, Umar Johnson has an issue with the interracial relationships. Okay, that's dealing with the so-called the American black woman. No. It has nothing to do with her. It has to do with you, slave. You, slave. You, so-called American black man. You, slave. All that slavery there's nah, bro. Nigga, you the workhorse. I keep telling you the Titan. Keep telling these women extract from you. They extract your sperm. They extract your resources. They extract everything from you. The government rewards her from extracting from you. Y'all not ready. Her daddy rewards her from extracting from you. But nobody wants to talk about this, though. Nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to talk about this in the black community. Nobody wants to talk about that because we shall overcome someday. Shut your ass up. You know, we shall overcome. We shall drain you dry right now. That's the song. That's what the song should be. We shall worship her vagina right now. That's what the song should say. Oh, 12, you shouldn't say. Yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to say it. Gentlemen out here weren't supposed to be out here chasing, weren't supposed to be out here connecting with Becky. Even though that's what the law did. I mean, that's what the law was supposed to do. It was supposed to open the doors up for everybody, right? But since you gentlemen are exercising the law, all of a sudden there's a problem? That doesn't make sense. You gentlemen are out here traveling. See, back in the 60s, your grandfather and them wasn't traveling, so they thought so these women thought they had your grandfather and them trapped. But y'all forgot over time that technologies, things kept changing, technologies, this, that, and the third. You gentlemen out here, back in those days in the 70s, in the 60s, 70s, brothers out here going to war, and they're going to Vietnam, they're going to these different places, and they seen these other group of women, and they seen how these other group of women are treating them, and a lot of them brothers didn't even come back to the United States. Once again, this is the thing that's not being taught in the so-called American black community. Nobody's telling you gentlemen this. Brothers went to Normandy. Brothers went over here to the Cold War. They went over here to these different places. Them brothers seen how them so-called them European Beckies was treating them. He was like, hold on, I'm about to come back to the United States and get treated like absolute boo-boo? Absolutely not, sir. But nobody's telling you this, gentlemen. What was that? I think it was in Europe. Brothers out there, I can't think of it. I want to say Italy. But they did a movie about it. Brothers out here drinking, they was in town drinking with the locals. And them so-called European Beckies was treating them brothers like they were actual men. Brothers sitting down eating. There was no you sit in the back of the bus. You sit in the back and you drink over there with the colored people. Nah, hell no. Some people was like, listen, this is our country. You sit right here where we tell. No. I don't care what they do over there, in that country. But you in our country, you gonna sit there. You gonna drink with us. Brothers out here talking to the European women. You know what I'm saying? Because the other Caucasian men want to talk to them. So the brothers were getting love out there. Oh, you man, you need to sit. Now, hell no. The brother said, nah, we in a whole different, this ain't the United States. You're not going to tell me what I'm about to do over here. See, they don't tell you that these so-called African-American men, they fought their own people because they wanted to have a good time with local European women. I can't think of the story, but this is but you guys can look this up. Yeah, brothers over there, I think it was in Europe or Italy or I can't remember where it was, but it was over there in Europe. They actually did a video on this. They got brothers over there chilling with the local. I mean, brothers over there getting married. Brothers was over there getting scooped up. They wasn't coming back to the States. To the point that these men had to firefight their own so-called people because they were sitting there dealing with so-called European women. See, gentlemen, I keep telling you, you were always the backup plan. You were the workhorse. You the Clydesdale. But nobody in your community is telling you this. All this and all this fake love, all blackity black love. Gentlemen, stop it. You're a blackity black workhorse. You're the titan. You're the source. You're the host. They're the parasite. Nobody's telling you this. Your grandfather and them ain't telling you this. They're not telling you your history, what's really happening. They're not telling you what happened over there in Vietnam. Nobody's coming back to you telling you fellas what really went down in Vietnam. Anyways, man, you gentlemen, save yourself. That's why ESPN, man. Listen, I'm preaching that till they put me to the ground. Save yourself. You're nobody's tool. You're nobody's backup plan. ever since 1967, man. Bump that. Talk to all the Beckys you want. All the Beckys you want. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.